start this week's recording with an apology. One for my broken voice, and two, this was recorded as a 4-man episode, but with technical gremlins eating Nick's recording and leaving the remnants of garbled nonsense. This time it was a step too far. Nick's audio has been resigned and shot into space. So enjoy what remains of Darren, Greg, little Nick post-recorded, and Lee as we spill the goods on this week's news, discussion of games, what we've been playing, and a breakdown of the Nindies Showcase. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Nintendo Review Podcast, or I will want to call it the Cuphead episode. I don't care that we're going to chat about it later. I am incredibly excited about this game, but obviously we will chat about it later. But how are you guys? We've just watched the Nindies Direct. Well, I say just about 5 hours ago. But how are you feeling? And I want like a little preview for our discussion later on. How do you feel about the Direct as a whole, Lee?
I've literally watched it 10 minutes ago, waking up early because I didn't want to sit up late at like at midnight my time and then only have about 4 hours sleep before recording the podcast and then going to work. So I thought, right, I'll get up at half hour earlier, like 5:30, and watch it while I'm having breakfast, which I just did, made some notes, and I thought it was really strong in the beginning. There was a lot of games I thought, I need to see more of, but they look very, very positive. Then it drifted off towards the middle part and ended on a got stronger towards the end again, and a wow factor at the end. It's like, ooh, that's surprising.
Anything goes now, literally. Microsoft had a press conference a couple of hours ago and said we've got more games coming to the Switch. Rear replay.
That's all I need.
Yeah, it's all coming. It's all coming. So, Greg, what do you think about the Nindies?
I'm feeling really good. I got what I wanted from it, so can't complain. Cuphead was the thing, so it didn't really matter what came after that, although there was quite a lot of good stuff as well. But Cuphead is coming, so happy Greg this week.
Awesome. We'll chat in more detail about that when we get to our topic. But first, let's get to the news. So as always, obviously there's about 30 games announced in the Nindies, but there's also 30 games now announced outside of that. The first one, Lee, are you excited about this? The Sniper Elite games. There's 2 games coming. I always find this weird. It's been happening a lot, where they announce like 2 games, like an old one and then a newer one. It's like, why? Who's going to get the old one? But are you excited about these?
Yes, that kind of scratches that kind of itch of slow motion, basically headshots, and it takes it into a gory detail. But they got Sniper Elite V2
Speaking of gory detail,
remastered. You don't want to see what we just saw, everybody. Sniper Elite 3 Ultimate Edition as well, and I'm sure on the PC and all that they must be up to like Sniper 5 or something like that. But yeah, this kind of sneaking around and taking out Hitler, especially in the first one, it does appeal to me. I need to see more as usual. See how it's running. It does this kind of Max Payne slow motion. So as you shoot at somebody, it slows down. You can zoom around the bullet and all that, and then it shows the internal workings of where you've shot them, and breaking bones and splatting. And in particular, I've seen scenes of when you shoot people's gonads.
Now suddenly Greg's interested. Another game that's been announced. Now I love pool games and snooker games and stuff like that. And then there was a few like awful ones that came out. And then late last year there's a couple of other games. One by Ripstone and another one by... I can't remember the other one. A couple of online pool games. I think one of them has a snooker mode. Great stuff. Another snooker game's been announced. Snooker 19. And it's got like over 100 real life players have kind of mocapped them and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know too much about it. Greg, you seem the kind of pool snooker type.
I don't know what way to take that, but I do play snooker from time to time, and I love World Championship snooker on the PS1, but never really played many snooker games after that. And I know there was one on the Wii where you could that had like a peripheral, like plastic key or whatever. Never got to try that one. But if this is good, like my brother's really into snooker as well, so could be good if it has like online and stuff.
Please do. But like I said, there's a few coming out. Lee, I know you've been keeping your eye on all these kind of pool and snooker games. Does this one look particularly good compared to the others, or are you just happy to see all of them?
I'm happy to see all of them, but maybe it'd be too much, because at the end of the day, I'm only going to pick up one of them. So it's a matter of waiting and seeing which one suits my sensibilities best. But this one does look good. Some of the motion reception is a bit off. They're a bit dodgy moving around the table, but it's got all the licensed music that you know and love from snooker. And
like Snooker Loopy.
Yay, Chaz and Dave. Are they still going?
See, to be fair, that's the thing that actually gets me, because there isn't that much to animate really. You've got like obviously the table's the main thing and the balls, that's the important thing, but is it that hard to get like the characters looking sort of half decent around the table?
Have you seen it?
I've seen a few screenshots.
Oh, it's bad. Well, it's funny that they kind of made a special thing of it when they announced it. Oh, we've motion captured all these players. Look, see how it looks. And they showed a video and it's like, oh my god, it looks atrocious. It makes that Dead by Daylight or whatever it look good.
They must have motion captured me around the snooker table.
A game which may interest me and Lee, but probably not random. I don't know, it's just not that random. But Tiny Metal 2 got announced. Obviously, Tiny Metal came out a while ago. It's sort of an Advance Wars S game, and then Wargroove came over, completely took it over. But they've announced a sequel. I mean, I sort of think after Wargroove, good luck, because Tiny Metal is not a patch on Wargroove itself. So we'll sort of see how that goes. Lee, you wanted to chat about Axiom Verge, the physical edition, and a little bit of the controversy, and I guess this is to do with the money that was owed to the developer?
Yes, it is. Thomas Happ is a developer, and he had a son with a rare genetic disorder, and the publishers at the time, they did and successfully publish the European version of the physical Wii U game of Axiom Verge, and it's them, Badland Games, that are owing him, his producer Dan Edelman, and Limited Run Games, who ponied up about $48,000 in the beginning. I think they paid more eventually to this Badland Games. They owe them a lot of money, and it's obviously gone to a court case, all this controversy and all that, and all parties now have chipped in saying their side of the story. Badland Games are basically apologised and saying, yeah, we'll be paying them off in instalments. They are looking for the money directly. We want it now, so we're suing you. And this is going to be the US physical version, but it's going to be now published by Dan Edelman, the producer. He's created, I can't remember the name of his publishing firm, but it's like Edelman Games or something like that. He's going through them. So basically, it's kind of a warning that if you want to buy this Axiom Verge physical, buy the US and import it. Don't get the European and give Badland Games any more money than they deserve for their conduct.
Fair enough. A game which, weirdly, I found quite exciting that got announced this week. Now, this sort of got tentatively announced quite a while ago. This Sega and Virtua Racing. They sort of said that they were releasing their arcade games, and I think they did announce it, but they've announced it formally. It's coming to the Switch. It's got 8-player local. They said it's got online as well, but when you look into it, it's 1v1 online.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, I mean, how over that. But weirdly, I don't know why, maybe it's because of the memories they had in the arcade and stuff, but I'm quite excited about this, and I'm really not a massive fan of Sega. Lee, does this cater for your racing itch that you have?
Yeah, it does. It's arcade modes, arcade racing, it looks great. But it's got 2 modes in there as well, which intrigues me. I don't know if it did this in the arcade originally, but it's got a Grand Prix mode with longer, like 20 laps for one race. And then your tyres progressively get worn down and all that, so it adds this element of strategy for pit stopping. So it's like, that's even further interests me. So yeah, this looks good.
What do you reckon the pricing will be, Greg, for this? Because obviously the Sega Ages line at the minute, what are they, like $5.59 or something like that? $5.99?
Yeah. What do you reckon? I would hope it's something similar, actually. Like, the games that have come out in the Sega Ages line so far haven't been exciting, because, like, I'm sure many of us played them on the 3DS already. So I'm actually pretty interested in this game as well. There's something about, like, the simple aesthetic and stuff that seems really appealing as well, really colourful and stuff. And I have good memories of playing, like, Nigel Mansell on the Super Nintendo from that sort of era, and actually, like, I loved that game. Like, so the fact that, like, the tyre wearing down and stuff, and you have to use the pit stops strategically and stuff, like, it sounds like a lot of fun, so I think I'm down for this one.
How do you feel about the 1v1 online?
I can't wait to play each one of you individually.
8-player local 1v1, surely it won't be that hard, but whatever, we'll see.
Yeah, I think on that, actually, I'm not even sure there's... I don't even think you can play with, like, 8 people with switches in the room. I think it's just split screen or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a split screen, yeah.
Crazy.
8-player split screen?
Have you seen the screenshot for it?
Well, clearly not, because I'm bamboozled by it.
It's got basically 3 boxes at the top, 3 boxes in the middle, and 2 boxes in the bottom. It's like, stick in that. Go on, put 9. Come on, you put 3 by 3. They obviously can't get the frame rate going for 9 people, but 8's okay.
Oh, bizarre, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, weirdly excited. And I think it's coming out, is it next month in Japan? Is it April?
Oh yes, yes.
Or did they just say spring?
April. No, it's coming out in April in Japan, but we don't have any dates for the West yet, do we? No, that's right.
No, but they're usually just a few weeks behind, so maybe late April, May time, so that's fine. And finally, on the new game announcements, the most exciting of them all, I think we predicted it like the very first podcast we ever did, which is a Castlevania collection. That got announced, but more than that, they announced an arcade collection, which is a mix of like Gradius and some of their arcade games, and a Contra collection. This is 8 games in each package. They're $15.99 each. This is amazing news, isn't it? Greg, out of these 3, which one appeals to you the most?
I feel like it should be the Castlevania one, but the 4 games that we know of in the package so far are not particularly exciting, because I'm not keen on 1 to 3, and
4 is a masterpiece.
A little caveat to that. Super Castlevania is a masterpiece. You should be excited about that one.
I do like it, but I've played it before.
Sorry, Castlevania 2 isn't the NES one. It's not right. Castlevania 1 to 3 from the NES. Yeah. I thought it was as well. It's Castlevania 1 and 3 from the NES, and it's Castlevania 2 on the Game Boy.
Yeah, it's the Game Boy one. It's amazing. What a decision.
Still.
No, Castlevania 3 is good. Castlevania 3 is decent. But yeah, how weird is that? But weirdly, I'm kind of more excited about it being the Game Boy one than the NES one, because, like, that's on the NES Classic, I think, and, we're going to know that one. But the Game Boy one, I think I had it, but I've got no memory of it, really, so...
The interesting thing for me is the 4 mystery games in that one there, but you still don't know what you're going to get, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Before I knew Castlevania 2 was the Game Boy one, of course it's, and then you work it out, okay it is, and I thought they were all the NES ones and then the Super Nintendo one. I thought just the 4 mystery games would be like reworked versions of those 4 games.
Like the SP being inspired by the NES Online.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say there's a possibility that it could be the WiiWare one, Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth, and that sort of also opens up the opportunity you could have like the
Gradius one.
Contra Rebirth as well.
But what about Gradius? That isn't on the arcade one. If they were going to do it, surely they'd do that for...
That's true.
I think maybe they'll release a Rebirth collection. Who knows?
Another time.
Who knows?
Yeah. 50 years.
But Lee, which one excites you the most?
There's 2 of them, and they both equally excite me. So it's the Castlevania and the Contra ones. I do like a bit of run and gun, and Contra does its run and gun extremely well. Castlevania, I got Super Castlevania 4 on the Wii U. I could stick it on anytime I wanted. I need to see what those 4 mystery games are on the Castlevania one before I get really excited about it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, all 3 of them excite me greatly.
To be fair, like during the SNES era and the PS1, even into the PS2 era, Konami were brilliant, like loads of great games.
Yeah.
But yeah, from that collection there, like Contra 3, The Alien Wars is the one that sticks out to me the most, because that's like a legitimately brilliant game, one of the best on SNES.
I think even the Super C and stuff like that is good fun. I played through them relatively recently.
I'm not so taken by that arcade classics. Maybe I played them too much in the past and all that, and then when it ends with Twinbee, it's like, nah.
Is that the one that's on the NES Online as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's alright, but it's not amazing. Gradius is really good. Cool. So, in news which is like, there's always like the games that get announced and the games which sort of get teased, and the ones this week is Gearbox sort of teased 2. One of them is Borderlands 2, they hinted at, and the other one is Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. They've got a PAX East panel on the 28th, so if maybe they're not getting announced, do any of these appeal to you?
Both of them actually, but I know very little about the Borderlands series apart from it being a first-person kind of action RPG kind of thing, and that interests me in itself, and I'd like to see more of it. And being a Nintendo-only gamer, I don't go out looking for information for these games, but yes, I would love something for like this to come across. And then that Bulletstorm is more of a kind of even Duke Nukem is a playable character in the Bulletstorm with the full clip edition. He's even teased in the photo they showed of the game being teased. And it's like they're on everything else, so they might not be coming to Switch, but there's a good possibility. It just looks a lot of fun as well. Arcade shooter.
We'll see what happens there. Another game not hinted at, actually. They were told Sega. I don't know if it was like a talk. I don't know if it was like a talk or presentation, but ultimately they've announced that the next Sonic game is in development. No surprise to anybody, I'm sure.
Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, the game.
But I want to be like old Mortal Kombat style digitized stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, 3D Sonic games peaked with Sonic Adventure 2, and even that was like wasn't amazing. So I don't know. I
3D Sonic peaked at bang average.
Yep. I think it's a pretty much
ringing
a lost
endorsement.
cause.
Yeah. Can you remember when Mario Odyssey got unveiled and everyone went, "Oh my god, it's like Sonic 06, Sonic 06." How did that turn out? Sega did a survey recently talking about asking fans like what they want to see of all their games and stuff like that, and they had like a big list of, you know, Shinobi and Jet Set Radio, Phantasy Star and stuff like that. What do you want to see? Is there anything there that kind of gets you excited?
I would quite like another Sega Rally. Sega Rally 2 on the Dreamcast is like, I really like that game. It was a different structure because it wasn't like working from the back all the way to the front of the grid. It was like there were 6 of you in a race, but like I would happily take a port of that on the Switch actually.
Well, now let's talk about a good game company, Nintendo. Labo VR, 7 years old you've got to be. I can't let Hugo play it. Lee, why are you so riled up about this?
It's because my youth, you know, and I'm just too young to play it. I'm not riled up about it. It's understandable. They had the same kind of warnings when the 3D was implemented into the 3DS, and hey, be careful with your children, 7 years old. They got to be 7 or over. But then this will be, you know what the media are like. Look what they did with the massacre in New Zealand. They blamed it on Fortnite, haven't they? They'll be blaming this on eye problems for the next 20 years. Let's hope no one vomits while actually playing it, and that'll be in the news as well.
Well, do you think I should let Hugo play? He's a bit young, isn't he, for 3 at 3?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Sorry, Hugo. You're going to watch Daddy play with the elephant.
I do quite want it. I want to see it.
Have you not ordered it?
No.
What are you playing
I'm sensible.
You're sensible. You was contemplating buying V-Rally earlier.
I just mentioned the price. The temptation wasn't there. Not really.
In we always chat about the same thing. Sales news: Switch was the best-selling hardware console again in America. And I think it had 80% year-on-year increase from last year, which is kind of staggering considering they haven't released anything this year. It's kind of bonkers, really. And it is just people still just smashed, just the kind of fallout from that. It wouldn't surprise me if Switch was the best-selling console every single month this year. In the very, very final news, this feels to me like this is a topic in the making, but Google yesterday had their conference at GDC and announced Stadia, their new streaming-only service, available on every single screen you can imagine. It's a streaming service. There's a lot of impressive things about it. It still relies on streaming. Reports have come out and said there's lag, but it's playable. But these are in optimum conditions, and nobody was like, "Oh my god, it's like playing locally." Everyone went, "It's good, it's great, it's really impressive," but there's lag. So some people are still like, it's not going to be great for, like, it's not going to be good for Street Fighter 4 or whatever, you know what I mean? Anything like really fast paced. But ultimately, you know, I think maybe we should save this for another week in detail, because I think it's worth talking about sort of like Project X Code, talking about even what Nintendo are doing in Japan and what Nintendo could be doing, what Sony could be doing, like where's the industry moving. But just as a general overview, what was your impression, Greg, of Stadia and what Google are doing?
I haven't actually looked into it that much. Obviously I know what it is, and like I've seen their controller, which you don't need to use for it. It is about that internet connection, really. If you don't have a good connection, this isn't of interest to you. But also, I don't know if they've even mentioned any pricing structures or anything, because
they didn't really announce games or anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bethesda came out and announced Doom Eternal is going to be 4K, 60 frames per second, all that stuff. You know, that's the only thing. That's the only game and we've seen. What is it? Odyssey, not Mario Odyssey, obviously. Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
And Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, huh? Didn't know.
Yeah, they were the 3 games. So, Greg, are you excited about it? Maybe not this in particular, but maybe the potential of it, you know?
It is the way games are probably going, because obviously, like, pretty much everybody has a Netflix account or whatever these days, and that's where you get most of their films. There'll be kids growing up at the minute that's probably never even seen a DVD. I don't really know where to stand on it. The pricing is the thing, because I hate the thought of, like, Netflix, obviously, like, there'll be films up for a certain amount of time or whatever, and then they'll just be taken off or whatever. If you're in the middle of playing a game and then it just gets taken down while you're in the middle of it, you've just wasted however many hours, I guess.
I don't think you'd be renting them. I think you'd be buying them.
Do you think it'd be more like a Steam kind of purchase then?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just keep it in your cloud, basically, your cloud account, rather than on a physical box. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be buying the games, like eShop games, digital games, but we just play them, stream them instead.
I was just going to say, the difference is, like, obviously, if you buy, like, digitally on, like, eShop or whatever, and you have that game, download it and you can re-download it again or whatever, at least when the servers go down or whatever, you still have that game downloaded on your system. Whenever it's gone, if it goes from this here, like, how does it work?
Imagine 5-10 years ago, you'd have had the same conversation about digital, where it's like, oh, we have physical media, oh, you download games now, oh no, but I don't want to download the games. What if the game was taken off the server and I want the physical copy? And then all of a sudden you adjust your mindset and go, okay, well maybe downloading is fine, but streaming, oh, I don't want to stream it. I just think that we realign ourselves. People did say about films, and people still think, I want to own the film. What if, like you said, they take him off Netflix? So then what happens? And I'm subscribed to Apple Music. I wanted to listen to an album the other day, and it's not that it wasn't there anymore. I was like, oh, I just think we'll realign how we think about purchases and ownership.
I do think you're right, because I've started to become way more interested in digital now because of the Switch. Just that convenience of, like, changing cartridges is a pain in the arse.
Yeah, so lazy because it's so quick. But I agree. Yeah, it is.
And taking that, the infrastructure and all that, places like Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, they have got the fibre optic infrastructure here is phenomenal. It'd be a perfect test bed to get it out in this kind of... And they're not doing it. Amazing.
It's because they know Asia's a bunch of racists and don't like American companies. Yeah, I think the compromise needs, is why not be able to download it? Why not have the option of doing both? Like you say, like what Xbox and Sony will probably end up doing. I sort of agree. I think it is too soon. It's classic Google. They always jump in really early when technology is awful, and then another competitor comes along and nails it. Not to get too combaty, but like what Apple do. Apple jump in late, but when they jump in, they smash it. Yeah, they do. They jump in when it's nailed. So Google have a habit of doing this and very often failing. In all honesty. But a bit of me is like, good on them for trying and pushing the idea and the concept along. I don't think maybe we're quite ready for it. I'll probably be alright. I've got mega internet here, but like you say, I've got like ridiculous fibre here.
Can you imagine a little app on your Switch though, a Google Stadia app? That's what I envisaged. I thought, well, let's pop it on a.
Maybe that's a topic for the future. Maybe after E3 when we know what Microsoft are doing and stuff like that. But before we get on to what we've been playing, Lee, we chatted about Hollow Knight last time. Last week we put it to people on our Facebook and Discord and stuff. Are we going to play Zelda 2 or are we going to play Star Tropics? Lead the way.
And the winner is, by a country mile, in fact, Zelda 2 actually got no votes whatsoever. Poor old Link, he's left in the dungeon by himself. Star Tropics is the winner. And I said I got to say it in Jacob's voice, so something like, Star Tropics! And I think every...
Jacob's done really special.
Everybody started it here already because we've been chatting about it on Discord and everybody can see the way the voting's going, so we're all underway. So I'm already up to in the middle of chapter 3, I think. So there it is. Everybody get on Star Tropics. If we carry on without dates, you should have finished playing it by Monday 22nd of April, and then we'll be recording our podcast on the Thursday 25th of April, where we'll take your information and your discussion about all our community's discussion about what Star Tropics is all about. But there's one other thing about Hollow Knight, and it was our transition music last week. I got no answers. It was the boss I was after, that's all. I possibly thought Greg would get it, but kind of like, I don't know this music. It's got to be the Mantis Lords, and it was the Mantis Lords. The opening music for our podcast and the Mantis Lord piece is just, wow, the soundtrack on Hollow Knight is wonderful in it.
Yeah, when I listened to it, I was like, oh god, the music is amazing. Yeah. It is amazing. Shame about the game, but...
I didn't really get to listen to the music properly when I was playing it, because generally I was sitting in the living room playing it in handheld mode and there's something on the TV in the background as well, so I never really had the sound up that loud, so I never really got absorbed in it, so I probably wouldn't have recognised the tune, whatever it was.
You need to take gaming more seriously. Wow. No multitasking. I hope you're playing Star Tropics with headphones in and listening to those 8-bit tunes.
And no save states.
And no save states. You've got to experience it as it was in the 80s. Otherwise, a certain somebody's going to come and get you.
So, a word of warning before you start Star Tropics. Apparently in chapter 3 or 4, basically Nintendo are using the old NES original code for the game, and the original game shipped with a physical letter that you would dip in water to produce a secret hidden code. Now in the Wii U Virtual Console release, they did a workaround and basically that guy added the code, you don't need the letter. This one has gone back to the original code and it's like, hey, you need to get your letter out and work out the code. It's like, So I can see many people furiously going online, so we can reveal the code, and it's a Boeing airplane. That's all you have to remember. 747.
That's not the one that's been smashing into the ground, is it?
No, those are okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get on to what we've been playing. Nick, I want you to go first, because even though I don't even like F1, I'm weirdly intrigued by this game. So, what have you been playing?
Motorsport Manager on the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to be very brief, and if you just want a quick 20-second review, my advice to you is to not buy this game, and I'll explain why in a minute. So, I got this game on launch day, which was Thursday of last week, so about a week ago. I've put about 10 to 15 hours into it so far. I've completed 3 seasons. If you know anything about Motorsport Manager, there are 4 tiers. Tier 1, of course, being Formula 1 with fake names and all the jazz. I started at Tier 4. My first season, I won the championship. Second season, I moved into Tier 3, staying in the open wheel section, which is the Formula 1 style section of the championship. I came second or third in that season. In the third season I came first, and I've moved up to Tier 2. I'm now in my 4th season. So, first impressions, a lot more options than we had on the iOS/Android version a few years ago. You may remember me and Lee discussing it on the podcast last week. I had the mobile version of the first Motorsport Manager back in 2012, 13, 14, I can't remember exactly when. And it was fine. Like, I used to just put a few minutes into it every day. It was very easy. That was the thing I didn't like about it. Like, you have your budget, money is basically in constant supply, and one of the good things about this Switch version is money feels a lot tighter. There's actually 2 systems of currency in this game. You've got money and you've got influence, which you get from signing sponsors. So one of the good things about this game is you have to think about the sponsors you sign. Some of them will pay you more, some of them will pay you less, but there's also the quality of the sponsors. So if you go for what's obviously supposed to be Abu Dhabi Airlines or something, the rating of the sponsor is very low and you don't get very much money for it. Tobacco companies, fake, of course, tobacco companies are the same, but if you get something a little bit prestigious, you get a little bit more influence, and influence can be used in many ways, which is quite good. You can develop your car using money and influence. You can talk to your drivers to sign them for the next season using influence. You can potentially sign a new driver using influence. So I was quite impressed with the 2-tier system of money and influence. If we talk about the races, it seems to me, though I really can't remember about this game that I played on the iOS, Android or whatever mobile version a few years ago, didn't seem to be too many options during the race, but in this version, on the Switch version, you have a little bit more influence over the race. You can turn the engines up or down. That affects your fuel. You've got a set amount of fuel in the lower tiers, which you start with and you've got to use to get to the end of the race. So you can turn the engine up if you're challenging for position, or if you've just come out of a pit stop fresh, turn your engine up, get a few fast laps in, turn it down, save a bit of fuel if you've got a bit of space behind you, or if you want to save fuel before the end of the race. Well, it's a balance basically. Like, you can keep your engine flat for the whole race and you'll start on the correct amount of laps and finish on the correct amount of laps. You've got the tyres to play with as well, so if you slap on a set of the fastest tyre and burn through them as quickly as possible, you're going to be stopping within 2 or 3 or 4 laps, but you'll go much faster obviously. And then the options that you've got increase with the amount you develop your car, and also increase with the series. So as you go up higher through the series, your engineers get better, your car gets better, you've got a lot more options to play around with. You've got the super overtake option, you've got ERS, which is the electronic recovery system, which you can switch on to give you that extra boost, that extra speed boost in a race, which you can overtake a couple of cars in a race if you're quite close on the same lap. During the season, end of season, you've got a lot of options to play around with. You can find new mechanics, you can develop your car. One of the things that I really liked about the Switch version, I don't know if it's present in the mobile version as well, but one of the options that I really liked is midway through the season, the team starts developing the new car, and if you throw more money at the car in the middle of the season, then you get a better car for next season. But money's a lot tighter in this game compared to the games that I remember before. So if I remember correctly, I had about $10 million in the first season, and to develop a really, really good car for next season, considering that I was leading the championship and I knew I was going to move up a tier, was about 5 million. So that's half my budget gone in the middle of the season. But that's the thing, 8 races in the season, end of race 4, invest 5 million, forget about it. If it's after race 6, race 7, race 8, as you're preparing for the new season, that money's going to go not so far. So you put in 5 million after race 6 or race 7, you're not going to get as good a car as you would have if you'd invested back at race number 4. So there's a little bit of stuff to play around with there. Can in-house develop front wing, rear wing, brakes, suspension, other stuff as well eventually becomes unlockable. It's quite nice. Honestly, it's not as in-depth as the Microprose Grand Prix Manager games from the 90s, where you could develop illegal parts and then hope within a couple of years that they would become legal, and you've already got the plans, you've already developed it. This is definitely a mobile game, and one of the things that I really don't like about it is that the touch screen controls are not that great. Playing in docked mode is okay, but playing in handheld, there's not a lot of space on the screen. There's a lot of menus, there's a lot of icons covering the screen. The controls feel a little bit awkward, and as I talked about this last week as well with Civ 6, or 2 weeks ago with Civ 6, I mean, these types of games are much better suited to PC. So, I mean, if you don't have a good PC, if you don't have a decent tablet, iPads, whatever, I mean, Switch is fine, but it feels a little bit uncomfortable either using a controller or using the Switch's touchscreen. As for the game itself overall, I've had fun with it, but I'm a massive F1 fan. If you're not, you probably won't like this. You're probably not even interested in it, to be honest. But if you are an F1 fan, it's fine. You could probably get a much better version on iOS or Android or on PC. For the price they're asking, I think it's about £10. It's not a bad experience. But again, with the touchscreen, with the controllers, it's not great. So yeah, definitely a little bit more in depth than I actually expected, but it's still not that full Motorsport Manager experience. One thing that's very good about it though is there is an edit mode. So if you're a big fan, if you have experience of Pro Evolution Soccer PES on PS3, 4 or an Xbox, you'll know that they have a little bit of a trend, a little bit of a fashion of calling the teams very close to what they're actually named, calling the players very close to what they're actually named, and this is all here as well. There is an edit mode, so if you want to go in and spend the time changing the teams to Mercedes, Ferrari, the drivers to Hamilton, Vettel, whatever, then you can do that. But yeah, I don't know. If you like F1, if you like motorsport, maybe it's worth picking up. If you don't, I'd probably give this one a miss. I'm having fun. If you've got something better, don't get it on Switch. That's my impression, so thanks for listening.
Cool. So Lee, what have you been playing?
I should be pretty quick with this one. I finished and I handed in and got not a refund, extra. I got my money back for Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2. I didn't 100% it, and I normally do 100% Lego games. Lego games in the past, like Lego City Undercover, 100%. Lego Marvel Super Heroes, the first one on the Wii U. My son and I played that to death, and we 100%ed that. And Lego Star Wars Episode 7 are the most recent ones we've done. That was on Wii U as well. So it's basically what you would expect from a Lego game. You got a hub world, just like in Lego Batman 2 and blah, blah, and it opens up. The hub world is quite small in the beginning. I was quite shocked, and it's like, but as you progress through the story, the hub world gets a lot bigger. So at the end of finishing the story, you do have this extensive hub world. Now, the difference between this and the first games are very, very slight. The story's obviously different, the hub world is different, but the hub world in the first Marvel Superheroes game was more compelling. It was just New York City, and flying around New York City and finding all the bits and pieces in there seemed more compelling than what they've done in this one, which is Kang the Destroyer in the story as gathering different locations into one place called Chronopolis, which he can control. So he's grabbing New York City, where you start the game. Then he's grabbing the Spider-Man Noir New York City, so it's New York Noir. And then he's grabbing other places like the big skull-headed, I forgot what it's called, from Guardians of the Galaxy, when they go to that Never End or whatever the place is called. So he's grabbing all these different places from all Marvel zones and areas, and they're all fitted together, and there's like an ancient medieval English castle, and there's lots of different environments, and unfortunately, because there's so many different environments, each one is rather small, so you got all these interconnected small areas which don't take too long to fly over. And one of the delights of superhero games is flying around as Iron Man or Thor, and just flying around that hub world and finding all the little bits and pieces you got to get 100%. It just doesn't fit together as well as a continuous city would. And because the areas are so small, there's less areas of interest in there. Kind of the way it holds up, the frame rate seems better than Wii U versions before, so you know there's less pop-in. The pop-in happens at a further distance, so it's a better looking, better running game. It's just the level structure. When you get into a level itself, then there's about 24 levels to go through. They're very, you know, those kind of Lego linear levels. There's less, and Lego's always had a problem with this. You get to areas where you don't know what you've got to do. And you end up, you know, you come to a boss and it's like, I'm not affecting him, I'm not doing damage. And you work out that, oh, you've got to dodge him now, and then at a certain specific time, then you can damage him by doing this, that, and the other. And it seems worse than ever, where you just don't know what's happening or where you have to do or what you have to do, and it's got all the bugs that Lego movies are known for. I mean, I've worked my way through one level twice, and right at the end there's a tram you have to get on, like an underground railway, and as you jump on, if you jump on, you've got to be pixel perfect with this jump to get on the tram. If you jump on and get your legs stuck between the track and the tram, then the game just not freezes, your character gets physically stuck and you can't do anything about it, and you have to reset. And I did that twice. I had to do a level 3 times just to finish it, and that was the last part of the level. It's like 20 minutes of slog through a level just to get my legs stuck on some railway track. Lego
Sounds
games.
like Hollow Knight.
And as usual, once you've done a level, you don't collect everything. You've got to basically do all the levels, open the hub world, get some upgrades, and then go back to the level before you can collect everything in that level. Usual Lego stuff, very, very big. It's much, much bigger. From what I can remember, it's as big as the Marvel Superheroes game, the first one, but it's a lot bigger than the Episode 7 Star Wars one. The Star Wars one I finished in 20 hours. This one I put 40 hours into, and I haven't 100%ed it. It's huge. It's a rather large Lego game. As it kind of fits into the Lego game level and its score, I'd say it's not as good as the first Heroes because of its locations. It's better than the Star Wars one though, even though the Star Wars one did have some third-person hiding action, you know, like a person shooting mechanics. You could duck behind cover and shoot. It's done away with that. This is basically just a continuation of what Lego Marvel, the first one, was doing. But the one great thing is that now, in the past when you were flying as Iron Man, you had to press B to go down and another button to go up, X and B, you know, the two opposites on the control. Now you can use the right stick to fly and control your descent of flight, which makes it a lot friendlier when you're flying. But Lego City Undercover still remains the pinnacle Lego game. Nothing has come close to touching that one. But it's good fun nevertheless if you've got a good co-op partner with you.
You're right, you really were brief. I'm actually playing through episodes Lego 7 Star Wars. Bloody hell, rearrange those words into a famous sentence.
Oh, you finding
with
it?
Hugo at the minute. It's boring. I just find it quite dull, to be honest. And I love Star Wars, and there's bits of it I quite like, but the gameplay is just so samey and so.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not loving it.
And the problem with Lego Star Wars as well, it's got these small little hubs as well, hasn't it? And there's no continuous hub world, which doesn't make you want to come back. It's got these tiny little planets, and they're very small. This one does rectify that, but doesn't do anything better than the first Marvel Lego game.
I was going to say, I think they need to revamp it, but Lego City was a massive revamp of the formula, and then they've just gone back to doing these same old games. I think I've had enough now. But yeah, awesome. Greg, what about you, other than Star Tropics?
Well, whenever Hollow Knight finished, I've sort of been chipping away at some of my like backlogs. I've played a wee bit of Splatoon 2, and I went back to a 3DS game because obviously 3DS is alive and well in 2019. And it's a game I actually picked up last year with a few My Nintendo points, because like obviously you get them emails every now and again saying you've got points expiring soon. So I decided to get a wee discount on Hana Samurai Art of the Sword. I'm not sure if any of you have played that one.
Played it, finished it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so there'll be some reference here then. What did you think of it?
Well, it's you who's meant to be doing it. I was very disappointed by it. I thought it started really well and I was liking it, and after a while I was like,
I was the opposite. I started it, put it down, a bit like your Hollow Knight experience down, put it down, didn't go back to it for months and months, like 6 months. Came back into it thinking, no, I paid for this, I got to finish it. And it's got that kind of punch-out kind of vibe towards backing off and hitting enemies. And I ended up enjoying it until probably the last hour, which it got slogged a bit then.
I think you've nailed it, Darren. I was also disappointed with it. Basically, it starts with like a tutorial that kind of shows you like the dodging sideways and backwards, and like how to counter attack, and like how dodging at the right time sort of earns you these precision points. Although those precision points, they disappear as soon as you take any hit from the enemy whatsoever. Anyway, you go through the tutorial and then you're out into the world, and so it's like you just go from level to level after that. Occasionally it branches off into, you can pick between like 2 different levels, but essentially it's a pretty linear experience. So you'll get into a level and there'll be a small selection of enemies, and you'll walk towards them, and there'll be like a wee sort of like flash above their heads to say this is the order they're going to attack you in. And they'll all have their own like set attacks, which you'll learn over the course of the game. And they'll be like, they might bring their sword back and there'll be like a wee red line from it, for example, and that'll mean they're going to do like a certain attack. Or whereas if it's yellow, they'll do like a wee flurry of attacks or something. Although, I mean, that's supposed to be the logic of it. There are red attacks, I think, with the final boss, which actually seem like multiple attacks, so it's not really consistent in that regard. But anyway, you will learn the attacks, and most of the enemies are actually quite easy to deal with, but that kind of made it all the more frustrating that I seemed to keep messing up again and again with wee simple things. Like I kept taking hits, so my precision points counter never really got above 10, which seems quite poor because it's relatively easy to dodge. But there was times where you'd be like sort of walking across and you'd maybe like try to dodge, but you didn't realise there was a wall right there. And that's another thing about the levels, like they're all really bland looking. They're actually quite blurry. There's no real detail in them or anything, and they're all very similar. And you go through each level and you'll just fight a few enemies, and then it'll come up say well done on the screen. Whereas whenever you get, there's like 3 sort of like main areas, and they all end with like boss levels where you go through like wee stages in that final level. But again, it's just like waves of enemies, just same thing again and again. And it wasn't really an issue till the final boss, but I did have to repeat that final level several times. But you can buy like health upgrades and like upgrades for your sword and like the wee town areas, and they're in each of the 3 main areas. So you can buy like a limited amount of like health items that you can use during your fights. Or there's like even invincibility where you can take like a certain amount of hits. Whenever I was going into the last fight, like I made sure I upgraded everything. And the way you buy those things is whenever you do a few fights, like the enemies will drop coins. If you're bad enough to like lose one of the levels, the wee like guy that did the tutorial with you at the start, he'll appear next to one of the other levels that you've already done, and if you go into that level, defeating an enemy will get you like loads of coins. So that sort of helps you go back and like replenish all your stock that you need. Or you can like actually wager some of those coins and like to do wee challenges in the town, like slicing melons like perfect timing or whatever. So that was really good for actually building myself up for the final boss. But it was extremely repetitive. It's only about 4 or 5 hours long, and like the basis of it was like, it seemed like it was going to be a really solid game, but it never really evolved over the course of the game, and that was unfortunate because there is something there. Like it is, like you say, Lee, there is a wee bit of that punch out about it, just dodging at the right time and like a countering, but it just never developed enough to be as great as it could have been. And with Darren, it was a disappointment in the end.
That's fair enough. I like your persistence with the 3DS though, refusing to let it die. Like you say, Punch Out. I've weirdly over the past sort of week I've played quite a bit of Punch Out Arcade on the Switch. Great game. Don't know if any of you have played it or
Not
bought
the
it.
arcade version, no.
It's really good fun. It's really good just to play Punch-Out again. What's weird about that one, though, is that it feels more of a boxing game than Punch-Out. It's still Punch-Out, and they've still got the same tells, and it's still similar, but it feels a bit more of a boxing game, where like blocking and ducking and taking jabs, because Punch-Out is more like you need to learn the routine, figure it out, and beat them. This feels it's like an in-between a boxing game and that, which is quite interesting. But that's not the game I want to talk about. The game I want to talk about is Olli Olli 2. It's a game I finished this week. A game I was very excited about. I played through Olli Olli on the Vita, loved it. Olli Olli 2 came out. I think I had it on the PlayStation 4, played it a little, but just didn't carry on with it. I just didn't play with the Sony that much. So, and then when it got announced for the Switch, delighted, bought it. And if people don't know, so Olli Olli is it's a skateboarding game, and you play through very short levels. They're about a minute long each, if that. And you've got to sort of like get through the level, and there's sort of like missions that you need for each level. So there's always like a high score one, so you got to reach a certain score. There's a combo one, so a combo is obviously stringing moves together, so grinding, doing a manual, doing spins, things like that. And then you got to do other missions are like specific skateboarding moves, and specific grinds and things like that, and collecting things on the levels and stuff. But it's just a simple concept, but absolutely brilliant. It's like the original was in this sort of like 16-bit style, and the new ones, the sequels, a little bit evolved from that. So it's really nice style, controls perfectly, and it's just a really good, fun game. So I played through the second one, and it's as good as the first one. It feels very similar to the first one. I've been absolutely loving it. It's really addictive. It's obviously Olli Olli. I don't know if any of you guys have played it. To do the tougher missions, it is hard. Sometimes frustratingly, really, really hard. But I keep ragging on Hollow Knight, but like it made me think of Hollow Knight quite a lot, weirdly, because you can play the game. You can literally press the X button and you start the level from the beginning. Just any moment, just X from the beginning, X from the beginning, and it's just like and I was like, it's brilliant because it's far more difficult than Hollow Knight. And things like that. It's really hard. It's really frustrating because it's so easy to. Because if you fall, you go over and you got to start again. So you're playing the levels over and over and over because just figuring out the layout of the level takes a while. But the ability to just press X and you start in each level in an instant, it's just like, this is brilliant because it is. Celeste does the same thing actually, where if you die, it's straight away, straight in, and I love that. And this does that. And you need it as well. So that was really nice. But the game itself, what happened later on was that what I love about it is because there's also 3 difficulties. So you've got like amateur, pro, and rad. And amateur's hard enough. Pro is almost impossible for me without putting serious time into it. Rad, I've tried. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it.
Isn't that the one where you have to like perfect land every single time?
Everything. Yeah.
Yep.
On this one, even on amateur, on the later levels, you've got a perfect land. Some of the missions are perfect landing grind, everything. Yep. And I was like,
actually, on that, I think that was like the original concept for the very first Olli Olli before they simplified it, because I think it was you had to land perfectly every time before they changed it.
That would have killed it.
Yeah, bonkers. So yeah, but one thing this game does, and it just put me off a little bit. Like I said, I played through it all, absolutely loving it. It's really challenging. I genuinely enjoy going for high scores as well. Like I enjoy it. It's satisfying being able to go from the beginning and then not in combo from the beginning all the way to the end of the level, trying different tricks. And I love the fact that the missions encourage you to do different tricks as well. Like I've played other skateboarding games and other games that are like rhythmy or button input, even beat 'em ups can be like it, and you end up sort of doing the same moves quite a lot just to build up your score. And what I love about this is that because each mission it says, oh, now you've got to do this flip, or you've got to do this move, you've got to do this, it encourages you to try out all the moves as you go along. And I found that really, really great, and I find it incredibly satisfying playing it, and how, going through the whole level without stopping. How high can I get these scores? Trying all these different moves, genuinely satisfying. So loving it. But the last world soured me a little bit on this game. I'd never felt this in Olli Olli, and it only soured it a little bit. It kind of changed from. It almost became like a skateboard platforming game. And weirdly, I was thinking, in some ways, I'd quite like that. I'd quite like a skateboard platforming game. You got to kind of grind and figure your way out through levels. It's almost like Jungle Beat, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, where you've got to swing your way through these platform levels, but on a skateboard. It's not that similar. So I began to appreciate it on a platforming level, but the levels are so difficult to navigate in the last world. They're so complex to navigate. You're so easy to die, and it does like loads of cheaty feints. Like it's got 2 rails, so the first time you played, you don't know whether to go for the high one or the low one. But if you get the wrong one, you die. So it's like, so you got to memorise the level. Now you got to do that to an extent anyway. But I feel as before, it's like you could go through the level, but if you want to do really well, then it's good to memorise it and figure out the route you want to take. But it doesn't. The level doesn't beat you. But the last world, the levels were killing me, like constantly. Like I was challenging, I was fighting against the level rather than fighting against getting the best score. I was fighting against how do I do these moves or how do I do these revert manuals on this. Figuring it out. Like the puzzle aspect was gone, and it was like, how the hell do I get to the end of this? Because it is so difficult just to navigate it. So it kind of soured it a bit because I was just like, I don't really want to keep playing because I'm fighting it too much. I'm not thinking about combos and what moves I need to do, and collecting these things, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking, how the hell do I get through this maze of obstacles? And then, like I said, I sort of had a change of attitude halfway, like as I was playing through, it's like, if I think about it, like just getting to the end, then it's quite fun because it's different. And then I was like, I think they should make an actual skateboarding platforming game. I think it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, ultimately, then I finished it, and I completed all the missions on amateur and a lot of them on pro. And I'll keep playing it. I'll keep dabbling with it. But it's got loads of online leaderboards as well. So if Lee, I know you've got it. Greg, I know you're interested. The online leaderboard would be tempting in a similar way to like pinball. Like going for high scores and competing against each other. I think it'd be genuinely quite fun. But so it is brilliant. Last World did sour me, but did Olli Olli do that? Can you remember?
Online leaderboards? Yes, yeah. Yes, they did.
No.
Yeah,
So
even on the Wii
like,
U, they did, yeah.
Did Olli Olli, did it get to the stage where the levels were so difficult just to navigate? I don't remember it being
No,
like that.
I don't think it did. It got difficult, but not in that kind of terms of, you got 3 paths, you choose the wrong 2, you're dead. No, I don't think it did that.
Yeah, like I say, it's still brilliant, and I loved it. I loved playing through it. So I was like, this is exactly what I needed. And like I said, look, at the end, it was a bit like, that's a bit annoying, but that's fine. But so in the sale, get it next time it's in the sale.
I have to say, I'm even tempted to get it before it goes in the sale because I'm really in the mood for it. I had the Wii U on earlier actually because I'm playing Star Fox Guard at the minute a wee bit. That was part of the backlog battle, and whenever I had the Wii U on, I decided to stick Olli Olli on for a minute or two. And like, it's one of those games where like, whenever you're in the flow, like the controls are great and stuff, but if you haven't played it for a while, it takes a wee minute to get back into the rhythm of it because of the way, like pressing the button to land and like using the stick to jump and stuff. It's like Tony Hawk's is so ingrained that you can just pick that up and you're flying straight away. But this here, you have to like, it will take a wee while, but like just that wee brief time with it, so I kind of really want to pick it up now. Yeah,
it is great. It is very good. So awesome. So that's what I've been playing.
So a good chance for me to say, guess the transition music. There's no particular theme this week. The game and the console it was on, which should be easy if you know the game anyway. And you can contact me, Lee, at nintendoreview.co.uk, our Twitter at Nintendo_review, and our Facebook page, Nintendo Review, all one word.
Awesome. So now the listener question. Kyle Fleck asks, if you were going to die and were given the chance to play through one game before the end, what would it be? So basically your last meal, your last gaming meal. Greg, what would be your last gaming meal?
Mine would be a bit of a sentimental one. I suppose it has to be sentimental at that sort of stage of your life. And it would be pretty much the first game my brother and I ever owned, and that would be Super Soccer. I would love to play through that again because like, everything about that game, anytime I see it or hear the music from it, it's like it just takes me back to that sort of like magical time, and so many great memories from it. And like every single team in that game has like their own wee theme tune, so I'd just love to play through the tournament mode of it and just experience those tunes one last time, just throughout. Probably be in tears throughout.
What a waste. It'd also be doubly sad because it was your brother who you murdered, and that's why he was on death row in the first place. Like a double little nostalgic trip. Lee, what would be yours?
Well, if it's on death row and I got to play a game until I died, surely it'd be a really long one. Last months and months, but...
World of Warcraft.
Keep on going. No, in all seriousness, I'd probably play Link to the Past one last time.
Oh, bloody hell, everyone's on a nostalgia trip.
Yeah, it'd have to be, I think. It was that game that cemented gaming in my youth, and just that, I've said it many times before, just that opening section. I'd only need to see the opening section, to be honest, and then I'd be happy.
Oh, you get killed quicker. Yeah, I was going to say Breath of the Wild.
You got a good 300 hours there.
And we need to collect every Korok seed.
Breath of the Wild I have purchased the standalone the DLC, the expansion pass, and this is a question to you all. I haven't started it. My son started it on my file, and he's finished some of the stuff. Is there any way to reset just the DLC? No, I'm sitting there going, he's playing through it. I want to do some of the trials, though, you know, but I haven't got time for it at the moment, and he's playing through it. It's like, okay. He's finding the one-hit kill one a bit difficult. You know, you start off with a quarter of a heart or something, and then you got to sneak through and take down a few enemies before you get hit. Anyway,
I can't believe I've not played the DLC because of how much I love the game, and I am bang in the mood to play Zelda again. Having not played it since launch, if I jump straight into this DLC, is it going to be really difficult?
That's actually my fear with the DLC as well, because like I was never actually that great at Breath of the Wild throughout the main game. I was obviously good enough to finish it, but I never felt like I really mastered the combat or anything, and I'm scared now that I haven't played it in so long to actually go and purchase the DLC at any point. I don't think I'll be good enough to do it.
You'll definitely need a couple of hours to wander around and get acquainted with the controls again before even tackling some of the harder stuff in the DLC. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'll give it a go.
Is that your last game as well, Darren?
Oh, but it would have been, yeah. Maybe Mario Odyssey, just because it's so joyous.
Don't finish an Olli Olli 2. That'll be a miserable end.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Hollow Knight.
You'd just be like, kill me now.
Exactly. Doing all the rad missions. Like, oh my god, I want to cry. Honestly, I tried one and I was like, I absolutely smashed the combos, the high scores. Every move was a different grind, a different combo, a different spin. And I was like about a third of the high score I needed to get. And I didn't stop. I didn't stop once. I was just like, what do you want me to do? Anyway, cool. Next, we're going to get onto our big topic. It's a Nindies surprise, and it was very exciting. So we're going to chat about this after this interlude. Today, Nintendo had their Nindies event. It got announced a couple of days ago. It's always exciting when they throw a direct out there. They did it. I felt as it was far better than I expected it to be, in all honesty. It felt as if they had a Nindies relatively recently, but I thought it was great. Lee, just want to maybe go through each game that was announced, and if anybody wants to chat about it, let's chat about it.
And we'll go through it in the same order that it appeared in the direct as well.
Let's do it.
Cuphead was the first one, and that was you could tell straight away, couldn't you? You know, you saw the old scratchy effect of the man trying to pour a glass of milk, and Cuphead's coming.
I had no idea.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I had no idea. I was watching it going, what is this?
I didn't even see it from that point because I was out for lunch. It was my wife's birthday today, so we were out for lunch, and we stopped off at my parents on the way home, and it was just about 4 o'clock whenever I made it, so went in the door, got my phone out straight away, and it was just like the end of the Cuphead footage leading into like the logo, like it's coming to Switch or whatever, so I didn't see all that stuff with the milk. I've seen it since, but I didn't see it at the time. But I was like punching the air straight away. I was like, yes, come on.
And basically it does look great, doesn't it? You know, first of all, when he came up, I thought, maybe this is some kind of a
spin-off
RPG. No, I was thinking one of those RPGs, Fallout. I thought, maybe it's a Fallout kind of thing as well. But no, it made sense. It was Cuphead as soon as you saw the cup in front of him as well. Yeah, it looks fantastic. A run and gun.
Have any of you played it?
No.
Nope.
Looks difficult.
I've played it. It is very difficult. It's just amazing. It is amazing. I've been wanting this game for so long. A couple of hours before the Discord, we were saying, what games could be announced? And the first game I said was, Cuphead. Didn't actually think it, but it's just like, as an indie, it's like, that's what I wanted to see. I was delighted. And it comes out April the 18th. That is, 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's available for pre-purchase now. Yeah, so
I've pre-purchased it. The
how
icon
much
is
are
on
they
my Switch.
asking for it then?
£16.99.
Oh, bargain. I thought it'd
Not
be
too bad.
I thought it'd be in the range of like £24.99, that kind of 25 quid.
Yeah.
So that's
I'd have paid that.
Yeah. Excellent news.
They've also announced that there's an update to the game on the launch for the Switch, but that's coming to the Xbox as well. But I think he's another playable character. Like the player 2, when you're playing co-op, is playable, and player 1, I think they're releasing more content as well. So we're getting even more content for it. It's amazing news. Yeah, Xbox Live achievements is coming. Fucking great news. Absolutely, what a start. What a start.
It was good. The next game, though, brought it... Well, no, to be honest, I saw this and thought, no, I'm up for this. It's a strategy squad turn-based game, random generation and all that, but you're going from the east to the west of America, and it's called Overland. Did anybody else like what they saw with this?
I did like what I saw. I like turn-based games. It's got a survival sort of element to it. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, a little bit like Into the Breach in that kind of, strategic management, and, you get to choose what you need to do, whether, I need a bit of fuel, I need to save my friend, I need to save my dog, I need to get some food, I need to take the enemies out. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good fun.
Yeah, it does look nice, but another kind of gimmick of the game is, because you, like I say, you go from east to west, the further west you go, the more surreal the world becomes. It's obviously some kind of apocalyptic event that's happened, so like the more kind of weird the world becomes. I think there's like quite a supernatural sort of element to it. So it starts off in your survival, and then the more you get further, like the more kind of messed up it gets. So it sounds great. But this is like turn-based tactical RPG strategy game, randomly generated levels. This is like Greg's dream game, isn't it?
To be honest, whenever I saw it, I thought it actually looks alright. Like it's got a nice wee bit of style to it. Yeah. But yeah, it's probably not one I'm going to be picking up, sadly.
You should give one a go. Just give one a go and see if you may be blown away by it.
I've got Fire Emblem Path of Radiance there waiting, so I mean it's a bit of a long one, but I think I might give it a go someday. What
would you do if you absolutely loved it and was like, oh my god, I love these games?
Then I've got plenty to choose from then, don't I?
You've got loads. And it'll take a long time. What was next, Lee?
The next one was something I'm really excited for. It hits that kind of run and gun shooter again, and it's My Friend Pedro, and it's dropping on June. A little bit later than I thought, because we saw this quite a while ago, but this looks great fun. And it's got a talking banana.
I think it looks awful.
Yeah, I'm with you, Darren.
I don't understand.
Didn't think it looked very good at all.
Did you see it? It looks so janky.
That could also be to do to the slow motion effect kicking in, and when he was running without the slow motion, it looked okay. It looked fine. But I quite like the kind of puzzle shooting. You take this out, you kick a ball, blah blah, and you're kind of working through these environments in a kind of John Wick-esque way, or even Deadpool these days, isn't it? It's not John Wick anymore. Deadpool.
John Woo. Yeah, I mean, some of it was like it could have been. I don't think it looks like an awful version of what the game could be. Let's come back to this conversation when it comes out. I will be gobsmacked if this isn't abysmal, but we'll see. We'll see.
Want to predict the Metacritic scores?
Oh, it's a 9 out of 10, boys. You know it.
I gotta go. It's in 55.
55. What do you reckon? What's your prediction? What's your Metacritic prediction? Let's do it. Sweepstake it and we'll come back to it. It'll be brilliant.
I was going to be a little higher, 75.
I think you've made you worried now. I thought you were going to say like 90. I reckon about in the like late 50s. Yeah, anyway, what's next? Sorry.
There was a game where you were in a taxi and they showed it in I can't remember the name of it, sorry. I obviously haven't had time to research it. And this one is called Neocab, and it looks very, very similar. You're in a taxi, you're the last human survivor. It's coming out this summer, and you're listening to people's stories as you take them from location to location, but also you seem to be in some sort of resistance against the automated future, and they've got surveillance on you, so you've got to be careful what you say and to who. Intriguing, looks okay. It's not my kind of graphical, art style, but interesting.
Did you say, was you trying to think of a game it sounds similar to?
Yeah.
Subspace Circular?
No, this one, I don't think this one's come out. It's another cab-related game where you drive a taxi and listen to people's stories to solve a murder in this one, though. About a disappearance of a young girl. That one sounded really interesting. This one looks exactly the same, but set in the future.
It's similar style, isn't it? Similar art style.
Very similar, yes. But the previous one though is a bit more noir. It's darker and it's more. Not. This one's quite bright, isn't it?
The circular game is you on a train. That's why it's the circular.
Yeah.
You on a train. And that's quite similar where you're chatting to people. There's a resistance and things like that. That's why I thought you were about that. It wasn't very good, to be honest. Next.
The Red Lantern, 2019. Huskies, it looks like it's an open world by the looks of it. It looks like you can go anywhere, but I don't know if it's on rails or, you're pushed along a certain path. But this looks quite fun as well, boys.
I thought it looked quite good, and then there was like a shot of like when the gameplay reel kicked in, it had the picture of the dog, stroke of the dog's face. and the model of the dog looked like an N64 model.
Looked like a dog.
It definitely didn't look like a dog.
I actually thought it looked alright, but like the procedural generation and stuff, and I just don't know what to make of it, because it looked like even the logo sort of suggests it's like sort of like from point A to point B sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the open world brings to that sort of thing. I don't know what the hook is or anything, so it'll be interesting to see more of it, but I just don't know. If it's in Light Journey, forget about it.
Next one's a 2D platformer called Katana Zero, and this one's out on the same day as Cuphead, April the 18th, and available for pre-purchase now. Did you purchase this one as well, Darren?
Poor game. No, I haven't, but I want to. I think it looks amazing. It's
got this mechanic of slowing down time so you can hit rebound enemies hits. You can manipulate time as well, and basically one hit kills you and you've got to go through the entire level and kill everybody. There's a rewind mechanic which takes you back to the level so you can get straight back into it, just like the Olli Olli with the press of the X, and you're basically learning patterns of enemies to take them down. Looks good. Looks fun.
A mechanic where I think you're chatting to your therapist about
yeah.
the assassination, about the level. So I think that's how they kind of do it, where you can slow down time and stuff like that. It's like remembering what she was doing. I think it's brilliant. I think it looks brilliant.
I didn't like the font of the text.
Why is it coming out on the 18th though?
Yeah.
It's just like
push it a week forward, push it 2 weeks back. Don't bring it out on the same day as Cuphead. You've got no chance.
Stealth release it, because obviously you can pre-download it, so it's ready, it's finished. Cuphead's sat on my Switch now, so not on the same day. But either way, it looks amazing.
The next game, the plaudits in the beginning, it was like Double Fine Studios, great. Bandai Namco are publishing it, and then they showed it, rad, and then they had this awful voiceover for me. It was terrible, and it's like, oh, that put me off for one. And then when I saw the mechanics of mutating and then out little spiders, this game, and as you walk in, you're repopulating the world with growth, basically, bushes and all that, and then you use those to attack enemies, and it looked a bit janky as well. This is where the direct for me started going down a bit.
Like you say, it's good pedigree.
Yeah.
Really good pedigree, but it looked awful. I can't think of one positive thing about it.
See, like those sort of like over the top, like almost isometric sort of viewpoint games, like just there's something about them I generally just don't really like them, or just can't seem to get any sort of like desire to play them.
And you bought Enter the Gungeon as well.
I did, and I haven't really played.
They introduced the next game as a pinball adventure, and I thought, oh my god, I forgot, I just blanked. Yoko's Island Express is going to get a sequel, and then they showed Creature in the Well coming this summer, and that's all I can say about it. It is a creature. It's probably down a well. Those balls of energy, they call them, they don't seem to do you any damage. It doesn't matter if they pass through you and you're just kind of directing them, and it's just you swing. You just look like you were just furiously hitting the A button as fast as possible, and that's the only mechanic on it.
If you are looking for a pinball game, like I know you both sort of mentioned it before, Yoko's Island Express is actually currently on sale, I think, for $7.99 on the eShop, so probably worth a punt for somebody.
Definitely, I enjoyed my time with that. Next was, first of all, I thought they were calling the game Mr. Wolf. It's Mr. Wolf this, Mr. Wolf that, yeah, blah 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 blah, and it's about chaining combos together. I thought this one looked quite tasty, the way it moves, the way you link combos together. It's called Blood Roots, and it's coming out this summer.
That's when we can use any kind of item in the
you can pick up a ladder by the looks of it and spin it like a helicopter rotorblade just to get some elevation. You can use a cannon and flick it backwards to use it like a platform to shoot yourself up, and you're basically using environmental bits and pieces to kill the surrounding enemies with a heavy focus on chaining them. It looks like enemies kill you one hit, but it looked fast, frenetic, and a lot of fun.
Kind of game that if it's local co-op you'd enjoy with your son?
Oh, definitely, yeah. They didn't mention anything about co-op though, did they? It looked a single-player experience, but if this is in co-op, that would be a hell of a lot of fun there. Anybody else?
I'm guessing not.
Next one then. Pine, coming out in August. This one was like an open world. They started out with foxes and a boy, and then alligators came along, and as soon as I saw the frame rate... there was one point in that direct, the frame rate was so bad, I thought, oh my god, I'm feeling dizzy. I'm feeling dizzy watching the video of it. If I'm playing it in game, I think I'll vomit.
Yeah, next.
Then there was a couple of quick ones from Landbear. Super Crate Boy in April. Nuclear Throne, which is a twin-stick shooter today, and they're going to be releasing Ultra Bugs as part of the Landbear Arcade. And this collection, this Landbear Arcade, I don't know if it's like a hub where you get extra games in the future, but they said the collection will grow through 2019. Any of those attract your attention?
They look awful. I mean, they might play well, but I mean, visually, I was like, what am I looking at? And they've showed the first game, and I was like, oh yeah, here's the next game. I was like, it's the same game. They look identical. I was like, and it's quite expensive, because it's on the eShop now, the first one, and it's like, it's not 99p. I know that, so I was thinking that's way too expensive. I think it's like 10 quid or 15 quid or something.
It must be well thought after on Steam or something.
Must be. It might play amazingly, but I looked at it, I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't like the look of it. Greg?
Nope.
Chicken dead. This is when the Direct hit the bottom, and then it did pull back with the wonderful words in-game voice chat. And I can't remember what this game is, but Swim Sanity is coming out in summer. What's Swim Sanity? I can't remember that one.
What are you talking about? This hit rock bottom. This one looks alright.
No, this one looks. We've gone for the rock bottom. We're coming back out of the out of the creature in the well, and we're climbing up, boys.
Yeah, online mentioned it's using the voice chat and stuff like that. I thought it looked alright. It was like, get a few people playing it.
Yeah, it's got vibes of an indie creates kind of game, doesn't it?
Yep.
Speaking of which,
here's the font.
Did you like the font on this one, Greg? Blaster Master 02. Looks a bit old school, and it's out now. Is it out now? Yes, it's out now.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't overly digging it. No.
I didn't play Blaster Master on the NES. I didn't play Blaster Master 0 when it came out in the early days on the Switch, and I have very doubtful I'd pick this up, even though it does look interesting.
People love it.
The next one I'm really interested in, Stranger Things 3. The game comes out the same day as a Netflix season 3 of the TV series, July the 4th. Local co-op as well. This is a nice little bit of beat 'em up, little bit of adventure, a little bit of puzzle. It's got it all in there. Isometric, top down. Greg's not going to like it, but I dig what I saw.
Did they show it before?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't remember if it was the last Nindies or the one even before that. But yeah, it has been shown.
Fair enough. Again, does this excite you particularly because you can play with your son?
It's partly that, but I like the mechanics of fighting, and it's got that kind of. I remember games on the NES I used to play, like Gremlins 2, and top-down shooters, basically, like Enter the Gungeon. It's got a bit of that, but it's also got a bit of a more slight puzzle mechanics to it as well, which adds something extra. Thought it looked good.
Yeah, not for me. If you guys are a bit older, then maybe, but no.
And the last one, which made me, what? Someone on our Discord loves this, and I have a feeling it's Smeagol, because he loves everything, is Crypt of the Necro Dancer, which is highly regarded in certain circles. I never picked it up. I thought it'd be a bit too fiddly to play, and timing things right. But they've added Link, and it's called Cadence of Hyrule, and it's coming out in spring. Does the Zelda tie-in interest any of you to Crypt of the Necro Dancer, Cadence of Hyrule?
I own Crypt of the Necro Dancer.
And your thoughts?
Because I love rhythm games, and the idea of a rhythm adventure game appealed to me a lot. I bought it, and I put it on, and I couldn't get into it at all. And then when I was looking through when I was figuring out what my backlog looked like, there's a few games that I'm tempted to bin off. One of them was Runner 3. I loved Runner 2. Runner 3, not good. But they've updated it, so I'm willing to give it another chance. And one of the other games was Crypt of the Necro Dancer. And I put it on again, said, look, was it as bad as I remember? Not bad, but didn't interest me. And I put it on again and started playing it, and I was like, oh, actually, this is really good. So it survived. I didn't play it loads, but I literally just wanted to put it on to see if I wanted to put it in my backlog or archive it and get rid of it off my Switch. And I put it on again, I was like, no, it's really good. So it is like an adventure game, but you've got to move and attack to the rhythm of the beat. So you can't move outside of it. So you move in, and the enemies move to the beat as well. So you get to the rhythm. So in a way, they're patterns of the enemies. So you got to figure out how to get over to them and without them jumping on you before you jump on them. If that makes sense, because you're on different beats. It's really clever. And I was like, no, it seems really good fun. But I haven't played it loads. So if it was Crypt of the Necro Dancer 2, I wouldn't be interested in the slightest. The fact that it's Zelda, I'm all over that. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you guys?
I looked at Crypt of the Necro Dancer a few times when it was on sale, and I do quite like rhythm games, but there's just something about the look of it. I didn't want to buy it, and I genuinely just don't think I will really like it. And whenever this was shown, like as soon as I was watching it, it was sort of like I was hearing the music in the background. I thought this is Zelda-like music.
I would literally went, what rip off? What rip off?
And then obviously like they showed the game, and I like graphically I hate how it looks. I think it looks awful.
The Zelda one, it looks a little bit like the kind of Capcom, the Minish Cap. It looks a little bit like the GBA game, doesn't it?
Oh, it looks so cheap. It looks trash. I hate it.
You're gonna get it?
Just get it out of my face. I don't want to see it.
So you're not gonna get it?
No.
What if it's amazing?
I don't care. Let me just interject here a wee second. Apparently there is a demo for Crypt of the Necrodancer on the Japanese eShop, but not anywhere else. Although there is English in it, apparently. Going in by some random Google search I just did. So
thanks, Greg.
So actually, I mean, that could be another topic. Not that I'm always thinking of future podcasts, but that could be a topic. Like now, we've mentioned stuff like that a lot. Like, oh, if they don't want to do it, then give it to third parties. But it's never been a feasible thing, really. But now, if they give it to such a small indie developer on a random game with arguably their second biggest franchise, anything goes. Anything goes.
That is scary.
It is, but
I don't like seeing The Legend of Zelda look that rubbish.
Oh boy, have you played Ocarina of Time?
They have a charm and a quality that is unrivaled.
That sounded like a PR spokesperson's speech.
Well, Reggie's leaving, like, and Doug Bowser's getting the job, but I'm auditioning. All right. Well, how are you going to feel if some indie developer gets Wave Race and puts out an absolute abomination of a Wave Race game? Or gets an F-Zero, like if Shannon get F-Zero, and it's just like it doesn't live up to the level of what we expect from those sorts of games.
Would Nintendo let it out if it was an abomination?
Well, it looks like they're letting this one out.
To be fair, you say F-Zero, but that was a third party. The best F-Zero is a third party. Exactly, a really bad developer, and they managed to do a good game. The monkeys from Monkey Ball did that. Aye.
Dr. Bad Boon.
It's gone midnight, I'm telling you, delirious. It was a bit mad. That was a kind of crazy ending to it. Exciting. I think it's exciting. I don't care. I'll take a couple of bad indie / third party versions of Nintendo games if we get more and some other really good ones. I'll take that risk. And I'd rather a really bad Wave Race, but at least they gave it a go, than just never getting another one ever again. Because that hope, when it gets announced, it's going to be a good feeling.
Just think of the anger when you're playing it, though. All that hope
but I'm all about the hope and the expectation. Forget what it's actually like. It's just that the moment up until you put it into the Switch, that period is just going to be glorious. Just thinking about how good it's going to be. But yeah, cool. You've missed some games though, Lee. Your note taking is terrible. There was that horror game. There was a horror game.
I thought the Zelda one was the horror game.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention it. Darkwood. You're right. No, I've got it down. Yeah, look. Darkwood.
That's so annoying. Every single one of these games I'm checking on Google. Every time, like, I just search for Darkwood, and obviously it's just showing me pictures of wood that's dark, like a dark stain on the wood. So every single one of these games I'm having to look up twice. Darkwood Switch is bringing up switches for like light switches with Darkwood. Darkwood panels, aren't they?
Right, that's Greg's night sorted. But awesome. It's late. I've got to get up early tomorrow. Lee's got to go to work.
I gotta go. I was just about to say, boys, I'm off.
Right, cool. That's good as always, and we'll chat next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nintendo Review Podcast. If you like our content, please don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and ask us a question. You can find this very podcast on all good podcast providers such as iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Just search for the Nintendo Review Podcast. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, YouTube, and our very own website, nintendoreview.co.uk, where you'll find great content such as news, reviews, and impressions. Drop by and say hello. Podcast extras! Podcast extras!
I'm just looking at Hugo's toys and I can just see loads of my amiibo everywhere, and I'm just terrified at the condition of these figures.
You better buy your second set, then.
Not messing about tonight. You still playing Rocket League? Similar performance. The intro, we'll skip that. Ah, fair enough. You're playing Greg this week.
Yeah.
I remember that. Nick, you being our resident Sega lover.
I'm keeping that in.
Podcast extras.
Hello everybody, it's Nick from Nintendo Review. As you've probably already heard at the start of this podcast, my audio failed and unfortunately I have been cut out. But I have recorded this very special world exclusive.
Greg has to go play Rocket League with Clown. Who asked this? Can we remember who asked this?
Kyle Fleck.
I don't want to know what you were doing at this point, but after Cuphead, I don't blame you.
Darren, what's up?
I'm trying to be quiet because I've got kids in bed.
Oh, here's an interjection. On Discord, Clown Ferret has just asked you, Greg, are we smashing some Sony slags tonight?
YES. Why not?